All right, guys, we are
No.
live. Well, you gotta beat me to it. Yeah, that's the only way.
I'm gonna beat you, all right.
Yeah.
You keep saying that word. Live. We're not live. This is a recording. How can we be live?
We're live recording. Yeah, that's what it means.
You're not dead?
Live recording.
You're not
Yeah.
an imagination, part of my brain?
I want to be.
How so sweet. You didn't
Yeah,
have to say
but
that.
not yet. I'm not there yet.
Well, maybe when you die. Maybe I'll just keep you around in delusion. That's always a good place to be. Delusional. But speaking of death.
Yeah. We already
talking
covered that,
about-
right? Remember?
Yeah, we did. We did
Yeah.
cover death.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're talking about experience.
Yes. Experience.
And specifically some of those experiences that
Mhm.
touched us and changed our lives profoundly.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we were talking about on the episodes previously,
Yeah.
the concept you hold in your head is at conflict with the reality when you actually get the experience.
Yeah.
So you have an expectation, you have a concept, and then you have what actually happens. And in those situations, that's where you truly learn something. And don't get me wrong, a lot of these learnings can be extremely difficult, but with any newfound knowledge or learning, it's typically empowering because you have a better understanding of yourself, the world, or things within it.
Yeah. Yeah, because experience, the importance of experience is one of the core values that we're holding today. It wasn't like that for the majority of time, my lifetime, but I had a profound experience to realize the importance of experiential knowledge. This year, actually, quite late. Like we talked about it before, I still believe the power of words, books, and those indirect methods of learning. But I do find that experiential knowledge is the most comprehensive, in-depth knowledge that you can obtain compared to others.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's a lot of value in the knowledge that we do have or we can accumulate through reading or other means, because we learn a better way to explain our experiences when we have them occur. You know, maybe we have better vocabulary or vernacular. There you go. Look, vernacular.
Yeah.
So we can use words more precisely to communicate these kind of complex ideas
Yeah.
and touch them in a little bit more rigid and accurate form for ourselves. So I think that's the real power. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's just nothing that can be said that's more valuable than your own personal experience, because within that lies your entire perception of reality. And you're right. I feel like it's a more recent development, the value of experience, or at least in the way that it's been marketed towards us. It's kind of funny because there is a lot of marketing towards experience, but with limiting factors, or they want you to get a specific experience by buying something, you know, or like to go hike, you need to have the best hiking shoe, or blah, blah, blah. It's all these things that set you up to say, before you can have the experience, you need to spend a little bit or do something before you can go get it. But the reality is, even if you don't have those things, you're going to go get a unique experience.
Yeah, I mean, you can do, in terms of doing certain activities, you can do them with bare minimums, bare minimums. Like a hiking, we did 2 weeks ago. We shared our experience in
nature episode.
Yeah, the nature episode. Thank you. We did 37-mile hiking. Of course, it would have been better if we had a pair of hiking boots and all that shit, right? But we did it without any of that shit.
Colorado Wilderness Mountains.
Right. Don't get me wrong, it was hard, but there were also learnings because of those difficulties.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I hiked in these shoes. I didn't show you last time.
Foot fetishists out there.
I gotta take off my shoes. But
There's the clip.
It was really dirty, by the way, so I washed them. I think I'm gonna trash them probably in a couple months or so because it is cracks and everything, right? Took a toll on those shoes for sure. But anyway, because I hiked it in the shoes, which are not meant to be hiking shoes at all, and 37 miles is special, those rocky terrains. I realized that more than the thought that, okay, maybe I need a pair of hiking boots, more than the thought that, okay, I need to train better. You know, my cardio is bad. You know, my knee's not good. And then my feet are just too soft, not conditioned. All those things, right? Those are the things that I had more than, oh, I need more gears.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
I think that's something that we get a lot in life when we actually go out there and get the experience without the gear or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we kind of arrive to the conclusion of, wait, what do I actually need to
Yeah.
navigate this reality? Again, it doesn't necessarily need to be hiking, but it could just be a situation
Yeah.
that you were, by other people's definitions or marketing definition, unprepared for.
Mm-hmm.
And those give you, just like you're saying, the most opportunity to actually learn. And you really come to realize what's valuable and what's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe it's not your shoe, maybe it's something waterproof, but maybe it's just one piece of equipment, or maybe it's nothing like you're saying. Maybe it's just you need to be in better shape or conditioning. And again, it's very easy to regulate this to the physical realm because this is understandable probably
Right.
to almost everybody. But if we're going to get into deeper things,
Yeah.
which that's where we're heading, then it becomes a little more nuanced, a lot more personal, and quite different than just, oh, I need to condition myself physically. There's a type of maybe mental conditioning that's required,
Mm-hmm.
or an adaptation of an ideology or certain beliefs
Mm-hmm.
that can take you further or propel you. So, you know, if you're going through a breakup, something like that, depending on who you are, the amount of self-examination that you do, you might be able to take away some incredibly valuable information about the way you perceive other people, your expectations, or you could totally just shut down and say, oh, well, it was their fault totally,
Mm-hmm.
and learn nothing from it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's hard because there's always two facets to this engaging with reality. There's what reality gives you
Mm-hmm.
and how you react to reality.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's still true. That's, I think, where your maturity and experience come into play, right? Because that's, everybody makes decision largely based on their previous experiences and their current knowledge, right? So you made an example of a person going through a breakup. If you don't have any experience of breaking up, then probably that person's interaction with the situation will be very different from those who have experienced them before, right?
Yeah.
So I think talking about experience is very hard because there are so many variabilities. But also in this context, I guess where I'm getting at is that the more you experience, I think you get better to interact with the certain experiences.
Yeah, entirely. And if you use the mindset that all
Mm-hmm.
experience is basically the same or applicable to every other experience,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can kind of end up on this very effective treadmill where
Yeah.
you're learning from everything, and it's contributing and feeding to all the other interactions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody drives, cuts you off in traffic, flips you off or whatever. You don't have to react to it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you should be able to give yourself a second to say, does me reacting serve me?
Yeah.
Does it serve my goal? Does it serve my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Does it serve the identity I have with who I want to be, but who I naturally am,
Yeah.
right? How much of my willpower goes in play with that? And then you start learning like, oh man, I get to choose what experience or what reaction I'm going to have.
Yeah.
And basically I can craft myself in a manner that I like.
Yeah.
And when you realize that, it really does
Mm-hmm.
give you power. You're like, oh wait, I don't have to be upset about this.
Yeah.
Or I can be happy. I can enjoy this thing. You can choose how you want to feel about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But again, that only comes with enough time of navigating the realm where you don't choose. You react and you get something in the reaction
Yeah.
that you usually don't like. You're like,
Right.
fuck, I don't like the way that made me, the way other people perceived me when I reacted that way. I don't like myself when I reacted that way. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
That wasn't my intention. But I chose to react. And that's comes from every experience initially.
Yeah.
Like we talk about all the time, these embedded ideas and beliefs. The reaction that we initially have is belief. That's the first reaction. I believe it to be true.
Yeah.
And then react. Rather than taking that momentary second to think,
Right.
well, do I accept this as true?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That small little piece. And once you realize you can make a choice on that, then it plays into everything else. It plays into how you react, what you say, what you do, what you think, even the way you interface with the world. And yeah, you run a risk of being kind of, I think, not understandable to other degrees, or you can be labeled as, I don't know, sociopathic, I guess, or psychopathic by not always giving people a reaction they're expecting.
Yeah. An outlier.
Yeah.
Whatever
Well, I
that
mean,
is,
sometimes
yeah.
people do things to piss you off so they can get a reaction from you and elicit a response to make it feel like you care. I'm going to piss you off because if I can see that I got you angry, then I know you cared about it. And that's totally misrepresentative of some people's reality. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Some people literally don't care, and that's why they don't get upset. Like, they just don't care. But you see it all the time. The jobs you work, I've been one of those people. It's like, yo, you're not giving me any emotional energy like you care about this thing. So I am totally going to dismiss you and think you're a piece of shit or a shitbag that just does not care about your work. When in reality, they're probably just thinking about other things at home or more important things for them. And it can be hard when we come at each other in these relationships, no matter what they are, one-time interactions, friends, deeper, blah, blah, blah. And we think they hold the same value systems and expectations we do. And we kind of project it on them. And when they don't line up to it, that's when we remove them in our minds or in our hearts or whatever. Or we respond poorly to them, or mean to them, or rude, dismissive, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We do things that don't serve us all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, the workplace example is, I think, it's also a vast subject, I feel like. Because we have certain expectations, right? I guess it is a very similar to society, right? Because society is organized in a way that we share certain expectations, right?
Yeah.
So the workplace is very similar in that way, but it is more geared toward making more profit, right? I personally don't really care how other people, or I do understand their characters, or where they're coming from. I don't really care that too much, honestly, at workplace, because as long as we do the job, right, that's what matters at workplace to me. So I don't care too much about like trying to understand where other people are coming from, or how their opinions are justified, things of that nature. I don't really care too much. I don't know where we while we're talking about related to workplace, but
Just all the experiences leading up to
yeah, for sure,
expectation of outcome.
Yeah.
So choosing to be reactionary or not to be, does this serve me or does it not serve me?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times those things don't serve you because you can't do anything to change somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
You can lead by example and try to be an understanding person, but there's also a time to walk away from certain situations. But is there one, I think when we're talking about experience, there's some specific and key experiences in my life that are extremely defining for me in changing who I am, and are almost so big that it's even hard to say that I've had other as meaningful experiences. Though those are obviously meaningful experiences as well, but I'd say the first one was when my mom died when I was 19.
Yeah.
Battle with cancer. And it was something I didn't realize had such a profound impact on me and changed my life for years and years. Probably like 8 years, around there. 7 or 8 years, till I realized, oh fuck, I am not who I want to be. I've been kind of on autopilot because this experience was so impactful that I just strongly adapted and dug deeper into kind of a stoic mindset.
Yeah.
You know, without understanding that there's a very real need to actually process things rather than just block them out with ideology.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't using stoicism as a processing mechanism, but rather as a mechanism to ignore and deregulate.
Right.
So all those things eventually felt like they culminated to failures down the road. Another one being the biggest after that, like life impacting, changing moments for me was when I cheated on my long-term girlfriend. You know, I quit my job, went to Thailand. This is years ago, not our recent trip to Thailand. That'd be fucked up. I don't have a girlfriend. I haven't had one in a while, so
nobody cares. I'm just kidding.
That's so hurtful. I'm sure somebody out there cares. But no, so I remember waking up in a
One
metaphorical
day.
sense. In the moment, in the situation, almost like an out-of-body experience. Like, this isn't who I am. What am I doing? This isn't my life. And it was a very 0-1 moment where I snapped back into reality. And I decided right then and there, I'm fucking doing everything I can to resolve this. Yeah. My life has been on autopilot in a lot of negative ways. And don't get me wrong, like, I had a great relationship with her in a lot of ways. Like, obviously negative in some other ways, but it was largely due to me not processing a lot of the things with my mom's passing.
I mean, not laughing matter. Sorry, guys.
This fucker. You see what I have to deal with? Anybody want to fill the co-host slot is a little more sensitive. But yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And again, I think people can have these life-altering events that they don't realize is actually affecting them. You don't have to, like, your parent doesn't have to die. You don't have to experience, like, deep tragedy on that level to still be deeply and profoundly impacted in a way that's not serving you. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. People would be like, oh, the way you're feeling and all the stuff you're going through, your reactions are completely understandable. You know? But you can understand things without justifying them. And I think that's an important aspect as well. Yeah. You can realize, you know, maybe the way I handle relationships and my kind of bonding with people is unhealthy because I learned this as a child in my relationship with my father and my mother. Maybe they treat me poorly and I just felt like I was supposed to love them. You know what I mean? Or maybe the inverse. Maybe they treat you greatly and you were never capable of loving them. You know, because you had difficulties with your own internal struggle to actually care about somebody that loved you. And maybe it's not serving you well. Maybe now you're trying to form relationships with people that they legitimately care about you and love you, but because of the unhealthy first relationship that you had or the way you viewed love conceptually, you know, outside your experience was messed up. And so now you're continuing to project your expectation or what the outcome's going to be on everybody coming in the future. And so you always operate from the same place. You always do the same things. You always repeat this pattern of behavior. Yeah. Like, might be slightly different. The actions are different, but the root phenomena is the same. And I think that's why you really have to go get experience and understand and dig and ask yourself, why do I behave a certain way? Why do I react? Why do I think about these things? Because a lot of the time is things are not beneficial for you only because you haven't examined them. And the second you examine them, somehow it changes. Like, just naturally. You become aware of it, just like when you become aware of a word you're repeating very often or a phrase. Right. And if it's something that you don't like or doesn't serve you, then you stop doing it. Right. You know? Yeah. Or even like we just a moment ago, we were just joking around about Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid, and randomly in this YouTube video, they start doing clips of it. Yeah. So strange. The second we start talking about things, become aware of it, suddenly we see them appearing in our reality, in our existence. Yeah. Which is kind of weird, right? It's a very strange phenomena. Yeah. I'm sure there's something, a word to describe it. I guarantee there.
I mean, you can, try to explain it, right? But I mean, I don't think it is important to know why, right? it happens. We all know it happens, right? And then I think that's enough to really make an important value to you that, being aware of something and pay attention to things are beneficial. Could be beneficial,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The small things that you think are totally not worth paying attention to because nobody ever told you to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
That's a large part. Nobody ever said, hey, man, you don't have to get angry. Actually, anger is a choice. So is like being happy.
Yeah.
So is love. All these things are a large part of them are choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can get into like the biology of things. Like, yeah, there's a chemical action occurring that enables us to feel certain things more, maybe intuitively.
Yeah.
But there's also a large power to mindset.
Oh yeah, of
that
course,
seems to bring forth these chemical reactions.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it's very interesting. Neuroscience and psychology, it's an only growing field, but I think largely they're going to reveal how valuable and meaningful experiences actually are.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, hey, look, you go on your computer and you read something. I'm not saying that's not an experience. It is. But there's a very different experience when you're out there in the midst of it.
Yeah. I mean, certainly there's a difference between experience of knowledge and experience of experiencing the knowledge, right? They're two different things. Again, like we've talked about this importance of other methods. I would call them indirect. I think there's only one direct method of learning through experience, which is actually experience the subjective knowledge, right? I think experiential knowledge is, of course, there have been many debates, actually, even in philosophy, that whether or not experiential knowledge is valuable, or you can say that experiential knowledge is better than the other methods. But it is certainly true that experiential knowledge gives you, even in terms of pure data, because you get more sensory data, right? When you read something, yes, you can imagine, your brain, certain parts of your brain are activated in a certain way, but also when you read, you're using only one sense, which is your sight. You don't smell, you don't touch. Of course, entire imagination, everybody's imagination is different because their previous experiences are different. Their basically database is different, right? That's why some people get good understanding from reading a material than other people, because some people are biased. I mean, there are many factors. But anyway, the point is, experiential knowledge gives you more sensory data. You can entirely interact with the subjective knowledge.
Yeah,
right?
It's a lot more complex data points.
Yeah, exactly.
That go on that.
Yeah,
right? And it's funny. The reading aspect is incredibly interesting, because I think about this all the time when I see on TV, even TV, or I read about it, and somebody depicts, say, like a beach, for example.
Yeah.
The things that you're totally missing are all the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
How hot it is.
Yeah.
The wind, the sound of the wind.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were watching a movie the other day, and they're driving in a convertible on the highway, having conversation like we are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way they can hear each other.
Yeah.
Like, there's no wind sound. The hair's not really blowing anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, yes, I get what you're doing. I understand that. But that is so far from reality. Yeah. It's so easy to just sit there on the couch and accept that is the truth.
Yeah.
They can fool you in such an obvious way.
Yeah.
How much more can they fool you? I'm not saying somebody's out there trying to fool you. That sounds fucking conspiratorial. I don't want to get into that. But I'm just saying that it's very easy to be tricked into believing something.
Right. Like tricked in a way that you don't even think that's not wrong. That's wrong.
Yes. And I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong, but don't
or
let that be
is
the
different
only
from the
one.
reality.
Yes.
At least.
Yes.
Right? I think, some part of it is at least based on the fact that we all assume that that's okay, right? I think some part of it is due to the fact that, it's different from the actual reality, but, we just assume that it's okay, right? Like one of the examples is that in movies or TV shows, well, these days they do pretty good job depicting that, but even a decade ago, old movies, if you watch them, if there's a scene where characters are talking, having a conversation in a moving helicopter, right? They would just do it without any headset or nothing, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, it's very hard to do. You have to scream, actually, right? It's just so loud inside. But in a recreated reality, I think, there are some assumptions that we all agree that, oh, that's fine, yeah, that's okay, whatever, right? I'm not, objecting your point, but I'm just pointing out that, some portion of that belief is based on that assumption that we all agree.
Yeah, we do. The problem, though, is when we get into more finicky concepts, say something like romantic love.
Right.
Think about how that's changed and been depicted in the media over the time. Man. Mm-hmm. It's very different, even the way it's depicted now, than it was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. What constitutes a romantic entanglement with somebody. Yeah. And, I think it's exciting that it's changing, but it's so easy for us to see these things depicted, and then we just say, yep, that's what it should look like. That's how it's supposed to look. Right. Because the movie made me feel good. It made me feel good. Yeah. I want to be in love. I love it. And then you realize, oh shit, when I'm actually dealing with a human being who has problems and a different, background and all this other stuff, then you start having troubles and you realize, like, oh fuck, this is nothing like I expected it was or thought it was going to be. And I think a lot of people, when they run into that, because they have no experience in that realm, that they either roll with the punches and take a lot of damage, or potentially cut it prematurely because it's not fitting the fairy tale. And that's a very difficult thing for anybody to navigate with any situation. Yeah. You have an idea of what it was going to be like, and then you have the reality.
Yeah. That's a problem, I think, right? If the depiction is too far from reality, I mean, let me rephrase it. That's okay. If the depiction of an art is different from reality, that's totally fine, as long as it serves a certain way, as long as it achieves its purpose, such as like a feel-good movies. You don't take anything seriously, just it's a feel-good movie. But I think a problem occurs when you try to project it into your own life. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Wrong expectations, for example, is one of the biggest problems of this incorrectly depicted reality. Yeah. Because that's nothing like reality. You shouldn't have any expectation that a movie character has about their partner or person that they like.
Then also, why are you adapting somebody else's expectation?
Right.
You didn't even arrive to the expectation yourself. Mm-hmm. How could you ever have the same expectation as somebody else in earnest if you're not that person? You can't. Yeah. That's just it's not possible. I mean, you're not the same chemical composition, the same place in space and time. You're not that person. You cannot have the same expectation. Yeah. Look, I can say we have these greater similar expectations. Oh, we both want romantic love. Mm-hmm. But the way in which that perpetuates itself becomes incredibly different with our backgrounds. Yeah. And once we have an understanding and a respect for that, then we can also move our expectation for that experience. Mm-hmm. And then you get the experience, and then again, you shift the expectation. I think a lot of times we keep going into the world, into these experiences with an expectation based on the concepts we know. Yeah. And then when it spits out the thing that doesn't agree with, again, the concept, we say it didn't work. It failed. Yeah. Don't learn again. And then go out in the world and do it again. Rinse and repeat until you're fucking mad with failure. Yeah. Or you're broken down enough that you just accept whatever is given to you. Mm-hmm. You forget you have willpower. Yeah. You forget you have an ability to express yourself. Yeah. And that's scary. But that's also the powerful thing about experiences. The more you get them, the more you have them, the more you become a little bit of a master of realizing that I can control a lot of aspects of the experience. Yeah. And those aspects are the ones of how do I feel about it? What do I do with this info? Yeah. Yeah. How you can grow from it. Yeah. Things like that, right? I think there are just listening to what you've been saying about this experience, I kind of realized that there are two conflicting ideas that can be both beneficial. Like the first one is that
it is dangerous to go biased into an experience,
Mm-hmm.
because it can go wrong. When you are biased, you can potentially ruin the experience, right? That's one aspect of it. But also, there's another aspect. I like to call it mature expectations or mature biases. Is that there are certain beneficial expectations or values or importances of experience that you can go with. For example, you can be biased in that I don't know what this is going to give to me, but I know that if I'm willing to experience in the entirety of it, then the experience can be beneficial. I can learn from it, right? So there are two kind of, maybe it is wrong to say bias for the latter one, but kind of there are both thoughts that you can go into experience beforehand.
Sure,
right?
sure. I would say that's a filter you create. I would say that's a value that you create, that we're in this environment, the society we live in, the time period. That's not a value we're taught or given, because it doesn't serve any type of structure or system that says the universe exists in a finite terms. Like there's only one reality, there's only one perception. This is the way the world is, binary, black and white. That's why that value is not taught to us, because it challenges that norm and that convention instantly. Right. So I totally agree. I think you can come in with and this is again where we get mixed up with etymology and language and all that crap. But bias naturally has a negative connotation. But absolutely. The way you're using it right now, we're not using it in the negative sense. And you come in with a value that anything, any input, any material can be useful and beneficial, and thus you're open to the experience because you can make use of it. Even the bad ones. Like how many times have I had you too, like a traditionally bad experience, a negative experience, but actually is a great experience because your mindset's different. I've talked about this before, but running out of gas or something like that, I had to push my bike like a mile in the dark in Thailand, in the middle of nowhere. And it would be easy for somebody to be like, this is a bad thing, this is negative, what the fuck, and lose their shit. I just laughed and pushed my bike. And I was like, wow, what a neat experience. Oh, I can hear everything. Wow, it's actually really serene out here.
Right.
All because you come to it with the understanding that this experience, my interpretation, is mine. Yeah,
exactly. Right.
What will I do to serve me with
and then you had experienced that before, right?
Yeah.
That's how you can experience that bad experience. That way, right? Because you had experienced that, okay, even in bad situations, if I decide to, I can make it, worthwhile. Worth, right? So, that's a good point.
Why let your stupid expectation rob you of a good time? I think about that with a lot of things.
Especially the situation that you have no control of, right? I mean, what's the point of getting angry at your, non-speaking bike, right? I mean, there's no point of doing that.
It's ego, right? Isn't that your ego saying, you're smarter than this? You're so much better than this. You fuck up. What are you doing?
You fucked it up. What are you doing? I think we have tendency to do that on various degree, but we beat ourselves up all the time. Actually. I don't know. I mean, even though I feel that I'm walking the path I love and I'm living the life I love and all that, but there are still, things that I'm disappointed in and things that I can do better, like that mentality makes me think that, man, why did you do that? Well, you can do better. Like, I mean, of course you can use it in a beneficial way, more productive way, but also just to realize that, oh man, maybe that is one of our innate tendencies. We're subject to that, to a degree.
I mean, I think that's the unfortunate side of
we sidetracked a little bit, but
we did, but I think this is still important in regards to the power of experience, because it's the only other aspect of your life that challenges ego. Like consistently challenges your ego. And again, I think like you're saying, we could probably never get away from it because we can only experience things in contrast, right?
Yeah.
They're only in comparison to other things.
Yeah.
So I think whatever reason, evolutionary or otherwise, again, I don't know shit, guys. I'm just spitballing here. But it seems like it would be necessary to develop the ego just so that we
Right.
can recognize there are things outside of ourselves.
Right.
Right? You know, and there's the compare and the contrast. And eventually, I think you can train your ego, though, to serve you.
Yeah.
You know, your
Of
ego
course.
can be useful. I don't think we need to necessarily kill our egos altogether. We need to kill this common term, common idea of what the ego is, which is this mostly negative thing. But it's also an incredibly valuable thing because when the ego speaks, it teaches you something
Yeah.
or you can learn from it. I mean, when you feel strong desire, say something like you see somebody else doing something and you want to be able to do that thing, or say you want the car they have, it'd be very easy to dismiss that as a negative value. Nietzsche talks about this. But what other things in life give you an instant indicator of your desire? Wow,
Yeah.
I want to do that, or I want to own that thing, or whatever it is. I would try to regulate to things not to own because you know, I'm not really into materialism, but it can be that. For somebody, it could totally be, you know, I want that, man. I want that dream car. What does it take to get that dream car? You know?
Yeah.
There you go. There's maybe something that's important to you.
Yeah.
Maybe that classic car. Maybe that's part of your passion, your dream. Maybe that's part of the path you need to walk because it speaks to you and calls to you. Like most people don't see other people doing things like, man, I wish I could do that. And then earnestly go and do something to get it, right? Unless it's really important to you. Wrestle with it. Wait, why do I want this thing? Why do I care about that? You know, in my example, why the fuck do I care about climbing this rock? I mean, what do I really want that for? And then as you dig deeper into that thing, you learn more about yourself. You learn more about your desires, and what you're willing to wrestle with and deal with to acquire those things. And slowly but surely, I think all these culminate and lead you to the path and are part of being on the path. And you might already be on the path, but you need experience to know that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You have any specific experiences that are ones that I would say life altering or
Yeah, for sure, man.
Kinda changed.
Life altering or the greatest impact on my life, for sure. Similar to yours, mine has to do with my mother, biological mother. My realization that my at the time stepmother was not my mother. You know, I found that out when I was like 16, and then it dictated my life. That discovery dictated my life. I was a quiet kid. I was bullied even in elementary school. I like to read. You know, being outdoor, catching insects and dragonflies, and very quiet kid. But after the discovery, I became very I completely took a extreme turn. I became like fighting all the time and hanging out with those bad kids. And I mean, I they're not bad guys.
Traditional sense, the bad
Traditional
guy-
in a
yeah, bad
traditional
kids, yeah.
sense. They don't study. They like to go out and all that shit, right? Some of them are my closest friends today, but that discovery led me into a different path. So I didn't go to school. I mean, you know the story, right? And then I went to the military when I was 22, and before that, before that it's not that important. But anyway, let me get this really just short, I guess. And then I guess really it had a huge impact on my life until like 2 years ago. Yeah.
wow.
I think the biggest impact that I had from that is that because I realized when I was like 20, so it was years after the discovery, that just life is all like I'm just so alone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be alone. I like to be alone, and I'm totally okay with being alone. You know, I think that was my defense mechanism that, it's okay. Nobody loves you. It's okay. You don't have a mother. That's fine. When I felt that the strongest was when I was in the military, in the boot camp. After like 6 weeks of training, we're first given with pen and paper, and then they tell you to write a letter to your most loved one, right? Like 99 out of 100 guys write letters to their mother. 99 out of 100.
Yeah.
The most of them.
I believe it.
The 1% is me, basically. I didn't know who to write to. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't have anyone.
Yeah.
So I just wrote a letter to my, at the time, ex-girlfriend. But that's when I really realized that, oh shit, this is so common. Having a mother and having that love for their mother is so common. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I hadn't known that before.
Yeah.
So I think that's what made me like to become very cold, less emotional, okay to not to have friends, okay to not to have a romantic partner. And yeah, but like 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? Last year, my first mushroom trip. Yeah. That's when I really realized that, wow, that was all wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't explain how, but I think it was through that experience of my past, all the events that happened in the past. I went through them like in a minute or so.
Wow.
All of them, most of them at least. All those sad moments and being alone and things like that. And I realized that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
So I guess those are the two, like, combined in a way, the most important experiences I've ever had. Yeah.
Man, isn't that crazy? That the term "it's not your fault." So many people need to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, where you're at in your life,
Um,
most of you, like, a lot of it's not your fault.
it's not.
Like, you've just been a response. You've been a machine that's been programmed to only respond. And guess what? The programming sucks, man. It's not designed with you in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed to maintain society and specific structures.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of those things just hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Only because you didn't choose them. Like, that is literally all it is. Because you didn't have any say in the matter. And I mean, what a freeing thing, though. Bittersweet for sure. Because I've arrived to that, same feeling with a lot of stuff is, you just didn't know, man. You didn't know.
Yeah.
But the second you do know and you start realizing, it's a call to action.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I know.
Yeah, for sure.
And I hate to even say it's a call to action because it's so powerful in the sense that I don't even feel like I have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, I just have to. Like, don't get me wrong.
Right.
There's always things we can improve upon. And I'm not saying I'm like the fucking master or the expert, but at least now I'm aware enough that supposed call to action that it's so much easier to engage with it.
Yeah.
And then my expectation is different because I have the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel in a way a little bit unfortunate that I came to the conclusion and understanding so late in my life, because I really truly believed that the set of ideas that I had was based on my decisions. I really thought that. I really thought that this is all based on my decision, my personal experience. I'm strong. And I was even proud of myself. See, look at what happened to you, but you're strong, man. You're strong physically. You're strong mentally. You don't give in easily. I mean, I always thought that that's like my biggest, qualities.
Yeah.
But then I realized that you did all that to justify that you were not loved.
Yeah. Amazing the things we put on to just deal with the wounds, right? I mean, I think that's what they really are. They're wounds, and we're so unaware because of how tremendous and deep the wounds are that we really do try to bandage in any way. It's almost like our ego knows, or our psyche knows, that if we actually acknowledge the damage we took, we might die.
Yeah.
Like, that might kill you.
Yeah.
But that's the amazing thing about, again, the psyche and just the human mind. We do forget things, and those strong signals and inputs become less. And then when we can step away and actually interpret them and see them for what they are,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit more removed with more understanding, kind of like you're saying with the mushroom trip, is we realize how all necessary they also are to learn. And you become almost thankful for them.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, I'm glad. I've said this a lot, you know, like I feel fortunate to have lost my mom and all the bad things in my life from the traditional sense. Like, I'm so happy they have happened because I've learned in such deep and meaningful ways that you can never ever learn from a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, a traditional good thing. I'm not saying they're one's necessarily better than the other. They have their pros and cons, but if you're always playing it safe to avoid these traditional bad things, you're probably missing out on the only valuable, not only valuable, but some of the biggest, most meaningful learning experiences in your life. That's what you really risk by not experiencing. You risk fucking almost everything. Because like I said, there's a few circumstances and experiences in my life that I can say extremely speak to me and are part of who my identity is. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And for my case, I had, like you did, you know, the same place, the therapy place.
I know, crazy.
Yeah. And then I gained a lot from the therapy. Actually, I thought that, oh, I'm all good now. Because I had that similar sense, the similar feeling through that sessions. I came to the final feeling that, okay, it's not my fault, man. I mean, I became to have more sympathy and empathy by myself. But the mushroom trip, how different it was that I almost could look at myself as a third person. Like, that was the biggest difference. So the previous therapy helped me a lot, don't get me wrong. But the mushroom trip really, it was just completely different experience though. Like the level of understanding through that was, again, like I could see myself almost as a third person, and I felt sorry for him.
Well, I think,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, totally know.
So
what you
that
mean.
like understanding from the therapy, the feelings, all that were true, and it was in the right direction for sure. But I could not quite get there to the final point, over which I could finally be free of all those bad feelings. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So
It's
I just wanted to
amazing.
point that out. Yeah.
It's funny because I think what mushrooms do for the experience.
Side trick again. But I mean, it's true though. I mean,
no, it's entirely true.
Very powerful experience.
So think about it. Most of our ideas and our concepts, even our experiences, are still built upon this foundational idea that there's only some inputs that go into basically the outcomes of everything. When you're on mushrooms, you have this profound sense of overwhelming amount of input, but also this cohesion, this universal cohesion and understanding. And you're kind of overwhelmed because it's like, holy shit, my entire worldview, everything you believe, think, and thought has been believed and grounded in this. Like, this is why you need the experience of mushrooms, because I'm trying to explain it and it's so hard. Everything we've experienced up until that moment, until you have this overwhelming sense and realization that there's an infinite amount of inputs and we're only interpreting a few, it breaks those chains that made you think I am who I am because of these incidences I can only recall with my memory. Dude, you're so much more than you can ever recall with your memory.
Yeah, for sure.
Every single thing you've ever eat, everything you've ever breathed, you know, every thought you've had, you're all these things. And here you are saying you're this because of these handful of things. You know what I mean? Like, how misrepresentative. You've miscategorized yourself almost so much so that could you even say that, like, you were really a human being up to that point? I mean, I don't know if I could. I'm still trying to learn how to be human.
Right.
You know? I'm so much more than the things I can account for.
Yeah.
You know? And so much of my reality is more than I account for. You know, how dare I to try to sit here with my ego and regulate it to,
Yeah.
you know, it's this thing, it's that thing, this thing. And I think that's why the path with heart and sharing this message to other people
Mm-hmm.
is not binding people to the 5 things in my hand. I say, this is what is important.
Yeah.
What's important for you is different for me.
Yeah.
What's important to me is different for you. They're all different. We're all different.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much value in all those differences.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody lie to you and say your value is not important just
Yeah.
because it doesn't line up with fucking the guy next door.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? You know, there's no room for love and understanding
Mm-hmm.
in a system that can't be explained
Yeah.
by other people's experiences. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's the power of mushroom right there. And I think that's why it's so helpful with
Mm-hmm.
PTSD, all these therapeutic applications,
Yeah.
because for time, the first time you do it, and you know, again, this varies with people, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
depending how severe their condition is. But over time, it really
Right.
you know,
I'm just.
it,
I was gonna say, yeah, like you are.
yeah, I need lots of experiences to break it down. You know, I'm fucked
Right.
up. So to remove
Mm-hmm.
these concepts that we've
Yeah.
created our worldview in.
So, like our today's discussion on experience, the importance of it, is really closely related to our last episode.
Yeah.
You know, imposed ideas, and I mean, we didn't dedicate the entire episode on that, but we've been talking about these imposed ideas and embedded ideas and why they're dangerous and why we need to get rid of them, all that. And I've mentioned this in relation to experience last time, but anyway, the point is you need experiences. You need experiential knowledge to get rid of those imposed ideas, right? Those imposed ideas have been embedded to us through various ways. I think largely through education. I'm not shedding on education, by the way. Education, there are good parts of education, but largely all those ideas were injected to us. You know, we didn't have any choice, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of good parts of it. I'm not saying, you know, every existing idea, everything that we learn are bad things. I think fundamentally what is bad, potentially could be bad, is that because we didn't critically evaluate them, you know? We didn't gauge them. We didn't decide whether or not we didn't experience those ideas. That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
at. We just absorbed them, right? And then largely today's human beings are how they are. They are made of those imposed ideas,
Yeah.
you know? And then the only way to get to your personal revelation is through experience,
Yeah.
you know? That's the only way.
Yeah. I mean, truly. And just the level of fulfillment that it can bring you
Mm-hmm.
by having that clarity.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I could convey that in a better sense. But, I mean, look we're doing this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
We're making no money. We left 6-figure jobs. I'm just saying, we're willing to sacrifice
Right.
and give up so much for such on the outside may look like a stupid concept.
Yeah.
Or stupid ideology, or this weird fucking meta hippie bullshit.
Yeah.
You know? I can totally understand how this might look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, nobody may ever even hear this, but
Yeah.
we're out here living it and loving it. So
Yeah. I mean, that revelation alone has changed us immensely, right? And I think people are capable of obtaining revelation, personal revelation, through other means. I think it's possible, totally possible. But it is very hard. It is very hard because you don't even know. In order to do so, without experience, you have to be able to distinguish between your ideas and imposed ideas. What's been, what's been proved to be yours and not yours,
yeah.
right? It is possible. I mean, you have to start with that first distinction. But
Yeah.
how do you do that if you don't know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Experience gives you that distinction very clearly.
Yeah.
because you experience it. There's no other choice there, you know.
Yeah.
But other means I think are possible as well. It's
think
just
so.
really hard.
Yeah. The thing is, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
The cool thing though is you can definitely build your life and who you are the way you want to be. You know, you can be the character in your story, the character you're proud of, the character you're fucking stoked to be.
Yeah.
Be that badass.
Yeah.
Be that person. You're given an opportunity in every singular moment to do it. And guess what? You got to keep questioning it. Like, am I doing this for the right reasons?
Yeah.
And those right reasons vary for you, and they're going to vary for every person.
Yeah.
But be brave enough just to ask why. I think that's the big part. Our ego is afraid. Don't fucking start asking me questions. Just be pissed off. How dare you? Who do you think you are? You know, we're ruled by even aspects of our ego. Like, that's the real power system. You know, the real control is this ego forcing a narrative down our throats.
Yeah.
And we dare not even think to question it. And then you realize, oh, maybe I can be friends with my ego. Build a relationship with it. Get humbled, man.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing to eat humble pie.
Yeah.
Tastes delicious.
Right.
Reminds you of what you are, who you are, what you're capable of. And yeah, maybe you're uncomfortable with who you are right now. Maybe you're uncomfortable with your abilities. But then you get a second to think, like, I wonder if I can improve them. Can I be better? Can I? And then you're prompted with a question. Dare you rise to the occasion? You fucking gonna rise to the challenge? You gonna do this or what?
Yeah.
And nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck if you do it or not. The only person that actually cares in a real meaningful way is yourself.
Yeah.
So stop trying to put the expectation on somebody else to give it to you. Like, are you living the life you want to live? Are you doing what you want to do? If the answer is no, are you taking steps to change that? If the answer is no, are you even alive?
Yeah. Just living organisms, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people live that way as just organisms.
Yeah.
You know, react, eat, shit. Next day, the same shit.
And we don't want that for anybody. And that's the thing. We're not calling out a group of individuals or a group of people, blah, blah, blah. We're not targeting anybody. We're not targeting a specific ideology or anything. We're just saying this seems to be the case with everybody.
Yeah.
All of us. We've been there. We're still there in some aspects, you know?
Yeah. We're talking about very fundamental, aspect of human beings.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, nobody's free from this idea that none of us today is free from ideologies, imposed ideas. I mean, even you look at the most prominent government form today, democracy, right? We grew up learning that this is the best government form, right? I mean, it shouldn't change. But this has been only what? Maybe 4 millennium?
Yeah, like the
something
invention
like
of
that.
democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, the U.S. is only over a couple hundred years old, and
I mean, yes,
all the
U.S.
issues we
version of
have.
it. But yeah, even from Greece, I mean, it's been only 4 millennium or so, right?
And then think about how different those people were. Their democracy looked incredibly different than ours.
Yeah.
I mean, look at their culture. Very different. So,
but that's that's one of the great examples of imposed ideas that we just take it for granted.
Yeah.
We take it as truth.
Yep. I mean, even right now, we're imposing ideas upon you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're having this idea is being imposed upon you.
Right.
That's why we're saying, yo, don't even fucking believe us.
Yeah.
Challenge this shit.
Challenge them, evaluate them continuously, right?
Yeah.
And then leave that room open that you could be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're made up of a set of fixed ideas, then what are you tomorrow? Right? You're nothing but you yesterday, right? So be open. I think that's one of the approaches that we have in our lives today. That not in addition to the possibility that we could be wrong, but also we're open to new ideas, right?
Yeah.
Because we've experienced them before. We experienced the new ideas and then realize that, oh, this is different from my previous values, but this is very valuable. Could be very valuable to my life, right?
Yeah, totally.
So that's why experience is important. It's one of the best ways to discover new ideas, new values, right?
Yeah. Because it's the one... Yeah, it's one of the few places where you actually can, like, put on a new hat
Mm-hmm.
and be somebody a little different with new values,
Yeah.
when you're in a new experience. You can try to change it up a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know why we died, but
I think we're reaching the end of this episode anyway, so
yeah.
we're an hour in.
Yeah, I wish the discussion was I wish we could cover more on this topic, because it's one of the most important ideas that we have today, the importance of experience. But maybe we can do part 2 next time. But I think, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in today, guys,
Yeah,
to our
thank you,
live
guys.
show on the theory of living.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Get out there.
Next time.
Enjoy
Bye.
experience.